Happy New Year, guys. Let's start this year off with a bang, literally. Let's talk about motor timing, ESC timing, turbo boost, all that fun stuff for your no prep drag cars right now on the channel. Welcome back to the Dorky M40 channel. I am Chad, and today we're going to dive into one of those really controversial topics, which is timing, end bell timing, turbo, boost, all that kind of fun stuff. All that stuff that you just love to crank those numbers up, pop the ESCs, and then whine on Facebook about how crappy, I don't know, Hobbywing, Tekin, or whoever else is. But there's a lot of things that are within your control to make that happen. And one of those things is to not follow these social media hype people. People that say dial in this, and this, and just let her rip, potato chip. And then the next thing you know, you're out $150 to $200. I did want to take a second to let you know that I have a lot of stuff coming for this DR10, so definitely be on the lookout for more videos on this. Hit the subscribe button, like, and add a comment down below if you have anything to add to this discussion. It's a very controversial topic for people. I'm kind of looking out for those beginning people though by telling them to start really small and not go like super crazy high, because most of us have to pay for this stuff. Some of these people don't, and maybe that's why they have such crazy timing numbers. And some of the people online that say they have it, well, let me, I don't know, let me see your car run, because I'm just not buying it in some cases. Browsing through the forums here and everything online after the holidays, it seems like a lot of people have just upgraded and got ESCs and motors. So let's talk about all this stuff, and we'll get to some quick points, and then we'll go into a little bit more discussion earlier for you people that have longer attention spans. All right, so there's a lot to cover in this video, but we're going to keep it simple here at the start, just for people who just want to just get out and get going. So let's start with end bell motor timing. So the end bell motor timing is the actual timing that is built into the motor that you have just purchased. Now your RTR motors, things like your Valenian systems and stuff, won't have any of this adjustment built into them. But like my Hobbywing G2 does, all of your better aftermarket stuff will have, and most of them are set to around 30 degrees of motor timing. They will go pretty much between like 20 and 50. And really what that does is just when you turn that dial, it just kind of changes the configuration of the motor and the poles and the magnets in there. So you can basically generate more RPMs without having anything else added on top of it. It's pure mechanical. You take a look at the back of my Hobbywing motor right there, you can see that this is the end bell. There's a screw right here on top that you just loosen and you turn that. And if you look on the inside, you'll see everything actually turning and everything. So I actually have mine set to 20 degrees, which is down from the factory setting of 30. Now the whole reason I have done this is just because I like to control my hit a little bit better. I have a lot of problems at the beginning when I first bought this whole setup by just putting in too much timing. I had 30 in the motor, I had turbo and boost running, and it was just a bad combination that just ended up in crashes, erratic behavior, and everything else. And it was just from following other people and not doing, you know, the research and stuff myself. So for new people or the beginners that I try to like kind of cater to, or people that just want to just test their stuff out and follow, actually some of the more recent bigger people have been doing this as well, is turn your timing down on your end bell to 20, and that way you can play with and put in as much electronic timing after the fact as you want. That way you don't have to get out tools, make any adjustments or anything like that. Simple enough, right? All this stuff can be made up. 10 degrees is 10 degrees. It just matters when and where within your throttle curve that you apply it. So again, I'm running a 4.5 turn Hobbywing G2 with the XR10 Pro and the Wi-Fi module and a 7000 lithium graphene battery, which it's an okay battery. There's definitely better ones that are out there, but this was as much as I was willing to spend, you know, to go up to that next tier of batteries. It's quite a bit of investment, and battery power is also going to be the key. You want to throw in timing and you think your car can go straight and handle it, but you're going to be eating up voltage. You're going to be dropping voltage throughout the hit. You're going to be generating a lot of excess heat and stuff, and you're going to be hurting your ESC as well. So I've kind of made this chart here to kind of show you how things kind of go. We're looking at, basically you could think of timing in 3 different stages for most ESCs. Now some other ESC manufacturers like Macklin, for example, we'll go over them. They're doing things a little bit different as well, but generally you're going to be looking at your first stage, your second stage, and your third stage. So your first stage is going to have to do with your end bell timing, things you can do in your remote to like soften or lessen your hit, and the same thing as comes with the actual ESC itself. Now the second stage is going to be your boost timing. Boost timing comes in at a certain RPM range that you have to determine and ends at a certain RPM range that you have to determine. So what most people do is they just start it and they never turn it off, and they combine it with turbo. So basically you have 20 degrees here, and let's say you want to add in 20 degrees of boost, and then you want to add in 20 degrees of turbo. Well, you're at 60 degrees of timing, which isn't too bad, but I remember watching a video a while back when I first got this. I had 30 degrees of end bell, 30 degrees of boost, and 30 degrees of turbo. I thought that those were pretty high numbers. Luckily, I turned those down, or I probably would have blown up my ESC. So what most people are doing these days to start off with, you want to set that end bell to 20, like I said. You want to ignore this boost section here, and then you want to add your timing here at the end in the turbo. So your turbo is going to come in when you hit 100% on your throttle, and then you can start out at whatever it is, a reasonable amount, 15, 20 degrees, whatever you think your car can handle, and then you can just go in throughout the day of your testing and you can increase that, and you can go into things like your data logger and just kind of see how things are going. So if you've got one of the GPSs and everything like that, and you see that you're plateauing out for like the last like 30, 40 feet, well, then you can add a little bit more timing to get more speed. The other thing to look at is how much force that is actually pulling. That little thing records like G-forces. So if you notice that your car is dropping off, it's pulling like 1 to 1.5 Gs, and then it's going down to like a half G for like the last like 50 feet, then that means that it's just not accelerating anymore. So really looking at the data and analyzing that and everything is the key to all of this. So what Macklin is actually doing is, listen to Tim Smith on his last podcast here, pretty ingenious thing, because they're kind of, the way he's handling things now is he is separating the entire thing into basically 2 big parts, but then some sub parts here at the bottom. So you have an RC end and a turbo end. And RC, I mean by the way this is programmed, is when you pull your trigger, 50%, you set a time. So for a quarter second, half second, whatever, it's going to apply 50% of your throttle. Then it's going to step on to RC2. So for the next quarter, half second, it's going to bump that up to 70. At RC3, it's for the set amount of time, it's going to bump that up to 90. Then you're going to get 100%, and then it's going to add in the timing at whatever rate per second or quarter second that you determine and you desire. So I really like that the way that this is set up here. Now, the actual way that the Hobbywing does it is a little bit different, because I have things in there that I have to worry about, like softening values and everything like that that I could control. So those are things that I'll be working on down here at this end that will soften the hit, allow the car to get going, and then reach turbo and then apply. So I'm not using any boost at all. And the reason why you don't want to use boost is because this is pretty much a guessing game. So you have to set a beginning RPM and an ending RPM for boost. Well, the problem is that if you set your beginning RPM at say 5,000 RPMs and your car is still spinning and not gaining traction yet, you know, right on the hit, then it's going to apply 20, 25, whatever crazy number that these people are throwing out there, degrees worth of boost, and then it's just going to make it go out of control even further. So you never really know, unless you just really work on your car, where that RPM range is going to start and where to apply that boost. So it's so much better to do everything with your throttle, bring it in, then when you hit that 100%, then you can go ahead and add that timing. And when you think you outgrow that, or you get like this crazy number where you're adding like, I don't know, 35, 40 degrees of turbo at the end, you can always go back to your end bell timing and you can bring that up by 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees at a time. You could also try a pinion change. So you don't want to get too crazy on the spur and pinion. It's a whole nother discussion, but I see a lot of people out there with just some super crazy ratios going on, and all that stuff does is just build up heat, makes your system run inefficient, takes away voltage, which takes away ultimately the speed that you're looking for. So yeah, guys, it's a very complicated topic and there's a lot of things going on with it as well. Hopefully I did a reasonable enough explanation. Just to recap, starting out, if you got something like a Tican, a Hobby Wing, or something like that, stick with lowering that end bell time a little bit, then get your car going nice and straight, and then just add in the boost and add in the turbo, and then start adding that up until you can get, you outgrow it or whatever, and then go back and revisit other stuff. Throwing that middle component based off the RPM ranges and stuff is just a fool's errand. You're going to be chasing your tail trying to figure out what RPM range to start at and everything else. You know, it's going to take a lot of work. And I mean, this stuff takes a lot of work and time anyway. You have to put in time. You have to look at data logs and stuff if you want to be decent or competitive, or if you're just plain out having a bunch of problems, because your car could be completely well built, but just because you're adding in timing at the wrong time, that's the reason why it's going out of control every time. A lot of people do stuff within their radios. I tend to just kind of leave that stock, so it's one less thing that I have to worry about, and just deal with the stuff internally in the ESC. So if you don't have an ESC like a Hobby Wing or something like that has app development and everything, then you might want to check it out. I mean, the good thing about Hobby Wing stuff is they constantly develop everything. They just released their latest version here for the ESCs, 4.4.09, which improves power at the low and mid throttle and energy management. And also, that's for the other ESCs. And that's kind of what we just got done talking about, energy management. So if you're doing crazy spur and pinion gear combos and you're putting tons of timing in when you don't have it, and you got a cheap $50 battery from Amazon, then you're probably going to have problems. Anyway, guys, thanks for stopping by. We will talk to you later.